Good evening, folks, and welcome to Here's the Deal. I'm your host, Shilo. Of course, I got my trusty co-host, Mr. Marvin. How are you?
Good. I'm doing pretty okay for a second Monday. I'm not going to complain.
Pretty okay for a second Monday.
Yeah,
That's good. Yeah, I hear you. It's been one of them days, hasn't it? So,
well,
go ahead.
nope, we're good.
So, just before we bring our guests on, I was gonna do a couple of announcements here. We'll have District 14, their candidates on Friday, correct?
Yep.
And then their actual convention is on the 18th, which is Sunday, this coming Sunday. And so, and then District 2, your convention is 3 p.m. in Tioga on the 24th, which is a Saturday. And then District 1 in Williston, your convention is on the 25th, followed by District 23 right afterwards. There in Williston. I don't remember what the venue is for that. I'll have to check into that. But I do know that it's on the Sunday the 25th, one right after another. So I guess
the breakdown, Shiloh. District 3 is on the 17th. District 14, 26, and 28 are on the 18th. District 4 is on the 19th. District 31 and 34 are on the 20th. District 46 is on the 22nd. The 23rd is 24 and 29. The 24th is 15, 19, 2, 17, 18, and Districts 43. 17, 18, and 43 are all at the Grand Forks United Republican Committee Convention. The 25th is 1, 6, 20, and 23. And then February 28th is District 39.
All right, there you have it, folks.
A lot of conventions coming up this next week.
You bet. And as seems like the political area as keeps changing ever so slightly in North Dakota every day, it seems like. So now we have a new candidate running for the lone house seat as well, right?
I did. Did Julie announce officially now?
Yep, it came out this afternoon. So
I know she had been kicking around governor. Well, look at Campbell; he was kicking around governor too, and all of a sudden he changed gears. So,
yep.
But that we can talk more about that later, Shiloh. Let's get our guests on for tonight because they got some traveling ahead of them tomorrow.
You bet. Sure. Why don't you introduce them?
Tonight, folks, we have Thor and Amber Sand on with us. Thor is the president of the North Dakota Homeschoolers Association. Amber is the convention coordinator for the state convention. That's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday here in Bismarck. So we wanted to get them on so they could talk a little bit about the convention, about homeschooling, some different stuff. So
all right, with that, let's bring Thor and Amber on. Good evening. How are you guys?
Good evening.
Doing well. Thanks for having us on.
Well, thanks for taking the time and being on, especially so close to your convention. I'm sure you guys are busy getting ready and getting packed up, I suppose.
Yep, getting ready to take off and get to Bismarck and get things in order for people to start showing up. Yeah.
You bet. Yep. So to start, you guys just want to introduce yourselves, let people know where you're from, a little bit about yourself and the Homeschooler Association.
Sure. Yeah, like Marvin said, my name is Thor. I'm current president of the North Dakota Homeschool Association. My wife, Amber, she's the newly, this is her first year as a convention coordinator. So that's been exciting and a learning experience.
Sure.
We farm and ranch in Dickey County, which is Ellendale, North Dakota. We've got 5 kids, and we've homeschooled them all. Our oldest went to first grade, and that was enough of that. Been homeschooling ever since. She's now since gone and married, and another one off to college. So, yeah, that's.
And we had a foster daughter. She's out of the house too. She's 25 now. So.
Yep.
So what got you guys involved with the Homeschooler Association? The meetings that you guys were going to, or like how do you first get your foot in the door?
So we were not always Christian people, and when we became Christians in our 20s, we ran into some homeschoolers. Some of our friends were homeschooling, and I really personally envied the amount of time that they got to spend with their children. That was actually the first thing that caught my eye, is that, oh, you could really do this, and this would be something beneficial for your family. And then I talked Thor into 1 year of homeschooling, and he decided I couldn't mess Lily up too much in 2nd grade, and so we gave it a try, and we've been doing it since then. I was invited to my first convention the year after I started homeschooling, so that's how we started going to the convention. Just found it to be a wonderful experience for our family, our entire family, for our kids and both of us. We learned a lot there, and it was just a very helpful thing for us. So.
Yeah, when I first started going, Amber said we should go to this. I'm going, what for? I'm not teaching the kids. So, but then as we started to go, I just started to really catch the bigger picture of homeschooling. It wasn't just about teaching your kids or whether it's a better or worse education. It became more apparent that that it was God's plan for us to disciple our children, and that was our job, and that we were the best people equipped to do that, and that we shouldn't take that lightly, and that it's really just about goals and priorities. So as I started to go to the convention, I'm thinking, well, what are they going to, teach us how to do math with our kids or whatever? And there's a lot of that too. There's a lot of curriculum and things there, and things about learning styles or how to educate. But there's probably just as much, if not more, on family discipleship and just having a good Christ-centered home. That said, we're clearly a Christian organization, but that doesn't mean you have to be Christian to get good advice, good knowledge, good resources from the convention. It's not like you have to sign a statement of faith to attend, and we have people that don't really care for our Christian beliefs but still come and enjoy the convention. But most that come are faith-based, and that's the main reason. Most of them are homeschooling, I would say, that come to our convention.
So how long have you been president of the association for?
Oh, 4?
Since 2021, I think, or 2022.
Yeah.
Our previous president passed away, and Thor became the president the year before he died.
And he stepped down, so it worked out well. I mean, it was obviously a terrible and sad thing, but he had decided to step down, and then not long after got sick and later passed away. So I was thrown right into the hot seat, but so far so good. At least nobody's screaming too bad at me yet.
So the Homeschoolers Association was officially formed in North Dakota in what, 1985?
I believe it was 1985.
So you guys are quickly coming up on your 40th anniversary. That's pretty awesome. Have you seen like an increase in membership over the years, or has it been pretty standard? Not a lot of flux to it?
Well, in 85, I don't think if homeschooling was legal in North Dakota, it was barely legal.
No, it wasn't legal yet.
Yeah, so you couldn't homeschool yet. So that was the first conventions were
underground.
They were underground, or they were at people's farms. There was not a lot of people there. It wasn't very normalized yet. There's some, just kind of as a side note on that, we've done some history videos talking about that time period. Some interviews with people that went to court that had their daughter testify against them. Michael Ferris, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He was pretty instrumental in getting it legalized in North Dakota, and he had more cases in North Dakota than all the rest of the states combined in the probably around that 85 time frame when it was getting going there. So yeah, we've seen a lot of increase in homeschooling. It's become more normalized. People are getting more familiar with it. They're seeing the benefits of it. They're seeing second generation homeschoolers. So it's not quite as, my kids are going to turn out weird and they're not going to be able to be social and talk to people. So a lot of those fears are gone. statistically, people are seeing that homeschoolers outperform public schoolers in pretty much every way that's measurable. So with that, we're seeing different types of homeschoolers. They're not all coming for faith reasons. They're not all Christian, and that's, I mean, clearly we want to support them as well, and think that that's a good thing that they're taking on the education of their children. So, but with that just comes different challenges too as their organization grows and changes.
And we did see an uptick in membership during COVID, and just people calling and asking questions. And during that time, we did go around the state and do kind of like pop-up meetings, I guess, where we would just go to different towns and visit with people about what they could do and what that would look like for them. And I think that was helpful. We made a lot of good connections during that time. And yeah, so it is growing, definitely. It's a growing thing. Pretty
quickly, but that we don't necessarily, well, I mean, we track our membership, of course, but we wouldn't have any way to tell you, for instance, how many homeschoolers are in the state.
Well, DPI would.
Total. I mean, that's not really our department.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
So I'm curious. You brought up the deal of people thinking homeschoolers were weird and stuff like that, and I know. So this is our first year of homeschooling. My son has just turned 10 here in January, and my daughter will be 8 in a little bit here. And anyway, I have an uncle in South Dakota, and they have done the homeschooling thing, and their kids are a few years older than mine. And so one of the things that we talked about is that stigma, or however you want to say that, about people saying, well, aren't you worried about your kids being weird or unsocialized? What is your guys' thoughts when people say that stuff?
Yeah, it's common. I guess the thing that pops into my head right away is socialization. So there's good and there's bad socialization. And I want to train my kids to be adults. I don't want to train them to be kids. I already know how to be kids.
Yep.
So in order to do that, do I want to have them spend a lot of time around other children, or do I want to have them spend a lot of time around all different age groups? And I think what we see, whether it's the one-room schoolhouse or the homeschool, is a more natural setting where children will do better and socialize better is when they're around people of all ages. That's when we go to the workforce. That's what we see. When we grow up, we're not all with people that are 35 or 42. We have to deal with people of all different generations and ages. So I think it's just getting past that, what you're used to, maybe what you grew up with. I grew up going to public school too, as did Amber. But just my main point there is not all socialization is good socialization. Yep. And if they're a little weird, I think that's kind of probably a compliment more than a detriment, because I don't want my kids fitting in with the culture today.
I would agree with you. When we so the family I was talking about, they farm and they ranch down near Lemon, and so we were visiting, and we were actually at the stock show last year. And the thing that I found amazing was, now those kids, they must have been, I don't know, they were probably 10 and 11, 12, somewhere in there. They're just a few years older than mine. At any rate, man, they could sit down. We were talking horses, we were talking livestock. I mean, to your point, we were having conversations, and they were in the conversation. They weren't we didn't have to tell them to behave themselves or anything like that. And that was a big eye opener for me. And of course, we'd already started homeschooling, and so that was something that I'd want for my kids as well. And you guys kind of made the comment too of, well, we wanted to spend more time with our kids. That never really dawned on me until we actually got into it, because I was more worried about the indoctrination and stuff that was going on, even in our little school here.
Sure.
Especially with my son. My son has autism and stuff, and so there was things going on there, and it just I think we made the correct decision to homeschool. So to your guys' point,
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with you on the socialization part of it. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big hurdle, especially. I mean, it was for me. I was afraid my daughter was going, like Amber referred to earlier, that she was going to be weird or not have normal. I mean, we all want to kind of be normal and fit in, and so it took a while to get past just that mindset, and then realize that, well, there's nothing special or magical about public school. It's a relatively really new thing when you look at history. I mean, most people were homeschooled when we look back at the founding fathers or however far back you want to go.
Shilo, I have a really good book that I could send you about that. So if you send me your address, I will mail that to you. It's called 25 Most Asked Questions About Homeschooling, and What About Socialization is an entire chapter. It's by Israel Wayne, and I keep copies on hand all the time just to mail to people who ask me that question. So
I would love that. Definitely. Okay. I will email you my address when we're done here. Okay. Fair enough.
So before we get to convention, membership. What are like benefits of being a member of the Homeschool Association?
Go ahead. Run that. But so there are benefits. I mean, you get discounts to come to the convention, but I'd like people to shift away from what they can get to really catch why we exist than what they can get out of having a membership. So by having a membership, you're supporting our organization, which supports people that want to homeschool. That helps them to know what the law is. It also helps that we have a lobbyist, not a paid lobbyist, but we
have a volunteer lobbyist.
We watch the bills and we'll go testify if need be. We work on legislation to improve the homeschooling law in the state. So like we talked earlier, in the 80s, homeschooling in North Dakota wasn't legal. It was one of the worst and longest fought battles to get passed in the nation. So we want to keep homeschooling legal, and we want to keep it easy. We want to keep it accessible. We want as little interference from the government as possible. So we just want people to realize and help, if they, maybe they're past that stage, but maybe they can help others that aren't. And also we want to help parents understand that they can and should educate their children and teach them about their worldview, even if it isn't a Christian worldview. I mean, why would you not want to pass on your values to your children? And I don't think that's going to happen if you send them to the public school. So
sometimes statistically it's harder.
Other than that, there probably are. Your question is probably more like, there's discounts on things, and I'm not very up on those.
Okay, so membership is $45 to be a member. When you become a member, you will receive a packet. You'll get a teacher ID card, which gives you discounts at certain retailers and different places like that. I think our office administrator has put together a really nice discount list at different retailers, and you also get discounts at convention. You'll get like a reduced rate to go to convention. But I mean, it is kind of like Thor said, we really do want people to catch our vision of homeschooling and discipleship and those types of things, and support us because of that. But there are benefits too. There's perks.
I probably phrased the question wrong, because I was asking my wife about it right before you guys came on. She's like, well, why don't you just ask them? I'm like, okay, well, signed up for homeschooling. Are we supposed to be signed up for the association too? And I'm like, are there pros? Are there cons? She's like, ask them. I'm like, I told her, and I told Shiloh's wife when I saw her yesterday, I go, you guys should be doing the show tonight, because
Sure. Yeah.
Like I work on math and history and art and music, and she does like all the research on what we need to be going into for curriculum, and like that's her realm. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing tonight.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
I'm a little bit more removed from it. Angel takes care of it because I'm out working. So
well, then tell Angel I want her to co-host the rest of the
show. She's not quite home yet. Well, maybe she is. I don't know. So, I don't know if you'll get her on camera. She's kind of camera shy, but I've been trying to get her to do something. But um, I want to ask you guys, how do you feel? I suppose you've been at it for so long. Maybe it's hard for you to say, or maybe not. But how do you feel as a whole, as your family, when you started homeschooling? The How do you want to say it?
The dynamic?
Yeah, how was the dynamic in your family versus when you were sending your firstborn to public school?
Hmm.
When you look, I mean, it's hard to answer because we've been doing it for so
Yeah.
long. But when we kind of maybe compare to other families, our kids tend to like each other. They tend to do things together. They tend to be friends because
Yep.
they spend a lot of time together. It's almost, well, it's kind of like their schoolmates.
Mhm.
And I don't want people to get the idea that we don't ever let our kids go out and play with kids that
Right.
are age, because of course we do. But other than that,
Here's the other thing. Homeschooling has been very beneficial to our family in many, many ways, and I don't want to downplay that at all. And I do think that it has improved our family dynamic. But homeschooling itself is not a savior. Jesus Christ is. And
Right.
things go wrong in homeschool families just a lot of the same way they do in other families. And I just don't want it to come across like, oh, we
Right.
have this perfect family because
Yep.
we homeschool. And that's not true. We have issues and we have problems, but I think we see them more because we're together all the time.
Mhm.
And not that our kids have never been successful at hiding things from us, because they have. But usually it will be brought out. You'll find out because you spend a lot of time with them and you have
Right.
good mom friends who will narc on them for
Yeah.
you. But either way, it's not perfect, but it is a very good vehicle for family discipleship because you're together all the time.
you have opportunity to deal with those problems and those dynamics, and that was probably one of the reasons we did start homeschools. We were seeing attitudes and things in our daughter,
Mhm.
even in first grade, that we just didn't really like, and so we wanted to do something about it. Well, Amber did, and I came along later.
Well, and I'll just piggyback off that. I'm sorry, Marvin.
Nope,
I'll
you're
just
good.
piggyback off of that. Like what you were saying is, when our kids would come home and they were crying themselves to sleep, and we didn't know why, and they couldn't tell us. They just,
Right.
they're and to what you said, Amber. Yeah, we as homeschool families, yes, we still have our problems, believe me. But I'll agree with you on the fact too. Like, my kids, and Marvin can attest to this because he's been around my kids. They are best friends. They
Mhm.
look out for each other. Um, yeah, I would say that they're best friends and they get along. And to your point too about finding out about things, it's usually not that hard because I've found out with our kids that they like to tell on each on themselves. So they're still young enough they kind of come and tell on themselves. So we'll see if that keeps going as they get older.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, you get a little
You never
wiser.
know. You never know.
Hopefully.
I'll take it while it lasts, though, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
So,
so I got one more question here before we get to go into the convention stuff.
Mhm.
What's the relationship with DPI? Because
Mhm.
obviously, as homeschoolers, you have to go through all this stuff. You got to sign up with the state. Like, we had to do these steps. But the state is supposed to still help, like if there's classes that you can't teach when you get more into the high school level, like sports, stuff like that, music programs. What's the relationship that you guys have seen with the homeschool community and the Department of Public Instruction in North Dakota?
So years ago, DPI was the enemy. We were homeschoolers and they were the public schoolers, and we had as little to do with them as possible. And Kirsten Baszler was at our convention a number of years ago before Amber and I were on the board, but we did get a chance to sit in and have a meeting with her. They just had some people go and talk to her about our concerns and her concerns, and shared some things. And then I think since she's also got a guy that is
The homeschool liaison.
there you go. I was searching for the word there, but yeah, homeschool liaison, so that somebody that deals directly with homeschoolers. So it's greatly improved over the years. It's gotten much better than it used to be. They I think they kind of look to us as a resource. They seem to respect the North Dakota Homeschool Association. I don't know,
Yes, and as far as your question, Marvin, too, about classes and things, that is something that we can take advantage of as homeschoolers. DPI does offer classes in high school, and you can also go to your public school and take like a specialized class if you want to. We never did any of those things because there's so many resources for homeschooling in high school that I just never felt the need to take advantage of it. But I do have some friends that have done that, and it's been fine for them. They've had good experiences with that.
Music is a common one. People will go for choir, something like that.
Yeah, well, and I hear really mixed reviews locally here in Bismarck. Like some people have had really good luck where they need to use that resource, and there's been some pushback too. But you know, it's, with the more rural communities, it seems like it's a easier give and take than say around Bismarck here. But I didn't know if the overall like how that relationship stood. Well, that's a lot of starting questions. Convention, let's hear about it.
Okay, so our convention starts on Thursday. We have a few events on Thursday that you can either register at the door or they're free and open to the public. So we have a young writers event on Thursday from 1 to 5. That costs $5 per person. It's for ages 12 to 19. We have a homeschool graduate doing that who is a published author, and she's going to be just sharing with aspiring young writers about how to write better. And I'm really looking forward to it. There's more information about that on the website. And then we have a free and open to the public used book sale. Anybody can come to that. The curriculum sale, I believe it starts at 6:30. I'm terrible at times, but 6 to 8:30 is the used book sale. And then we also have a Thursday night special session. We try to do this every year. That's a free and open to the public event as well. And that's for anybody who might just be thinking about homeschooling or anything like that. They can come this year. Our speaker is Jared Dodd. He is wonderful. He's been at our convention a few times. He's a pretty popular speaker there. And that starts at 7:30 and goes to 8:30. And it's called The Biblical Mandate for Family Discipleship. And then we also have the Meet the Candidates event on Friday evening. Now we just added that. I like it. We only have 2 confirmed candidates that are coming, Jason Heitkamp and Dr. Bartlett. We feel like that's a special interest to homeschoolers, so we wanted to give our members an opportunity to hear what they had to say. And I know that Kirsten is sending a representative, and we have not yet heard from the other candidate. So those are our free and open to the public events. And then if you register for the convention at the door, I want to say, I don't want to misquote the prices, so I'll let Thor, $45 at the door.
And then there's a family rate as well for members and non-members, which
right,
is a little different. So.
Right. And there's tons of stuff. There's a teen track, there's middle schooler tracks, there's all kinds of breakout sessions for different interests, whether it's special needs, lesson planning. I think we have a few high school ones. We've got a creation science track this year, which I'm super excited about because I'm a creation science nerd. And then our keynote speakers are Rick and Marilyn Boyer. Rick will be doing the keynotes, and then Marilyn's a featured speaker. But they are parents of 14 children. They homeschooled all the way through. They have so much wisdom and knowledge to share. He's been here once before, I think 13 years ago. He was our keynote, Rick Boyer. But just so excited about what they have to share with people. I think people are going to be really blessed by their wisdom. And yeah, I don't know if there's any other specific questions that you would have for me about convention. Go ahead and fire away. But
Roger and Jan Smith are coming. He's a medical doctor. Yep. They're a homeschooling family.
Yep, and Tricia Goyer is a featured speaker. She's an author, and she's got some really fun sessions too. She's got the grumble-free year, kind of how to teach your kids to be grateful. And
Chuck Black is a local. He's a Williston area. He's very popular. Anytime he speaks, he pretty well fills the room.
Yeah, he's got some good stuff this year.
Other than that, the whole book and all the session, like what the description, I guess what I'm looking for, the workshop descriptions, the keynote descriptions, they're all online. You can see the whole convention book. I mean, you don't have to attend to see what we're talking about. You could go on there, read the descriptions, and and see if it's something that interests you. And
yeah,
the vendor hall is another good thing. There's a lot of good curriculum options you can come look at. A lot of board games this year. A lot of people that have been doing it for a long time, and then we have some booths that we've never had before. It'll be a Hall D, and the exhibit area at the Bismarck Event Center will be full of different booths.
a lot of curriculum booths, a lot of colleges. I see the question, what can we see as far as booths for different homeschool groups? I'm wondering if she is talking about the vendor hall.
Yep.
Yeah, that is online. All the booths are listed online, Sarah. So you can go to under the 2024 convention tab on www.ndhsa.org, and you will find a list of every vendor that will be there.
It'd be on the back of the book, and it'd show you what their booth location would be as well. So
yep.
Very end.
So what are the hours on Saturday? Because unfortunately I'm stuck at work on Friday.
Darn
Saturday,
a lot.
Saturday, I know my wife's talking about wanting to try and get down there so that we can see at least part of the day.
That would be great.
The other thing that I had is, like, there's a lot of people we have viewers across the state. If there's a way they can't make the convention, do you guys have a way for them to see the materials after the fact?
Yes. So the hours on Saturday, we open up at 8 a.m. for registration. The keynote starts at 8:45, and then it ends at 5 p.m. for the day. That's when the vendor hall closes on Saturday. But there is an after convention pizza party, Marvin, if you and your wife wanted to go. It's at Century Baptist, and people make some really good connections there, and they get to visit. So that event has been a blessing.
That was new last year.
Yep, that was new last year. Our friends Chris and Murray Hoverson thought of that great idea, and they facilitated it. As far as convention recordings, we do sell the convention recordings on alliancerecordings.com. And during the convention, there's a deal for the whole set, $70 for all the recordings. They go up a little bit after the convention, the set anyway, but they're $3.50 per session if you only want a few here and there.
If you buy the whole thing, that's an incredible value for the amount of hours of teaching. I don't know how many sessions did you.
I don't even remember how many there are.
That'd be a lot of hours of content and really good quality content from really good quality speakers from all over the place. So. Yeah.
So not to put you guys on the spot, but let's just say someone that's thinking about homeschooling or hasn't done it for very long comes to the convention.
Mm-hmm.
What are the must-sees? What do you suggest that people go and see for?
Mm-hmm. I guess I would suggest that they attend all the keynotes. That would be my first suggestion. Mm-hmm. I would suggest that they go check out the vendor hall. It can be a little bit overwhelming. That's the one thing that's a little bit concerning about sending a new person to the vendor hall, is that they can get a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of choices, but there are some excellent resources there. They can stop at the NDHSA booth and ask questions. Mm-hmm. Our office administrator, Liz Buck, is usually there, and she's an excellent resource. Also, there's a booth called Hefner's Legacy, where there's a lady there named Nancy Bjorkman, and she knows just about everything that there ever was to know about homeschooling and different curriculums and different styles, and she's an excellent resource. And there's so many more. I mean, I could make a very long list for the vendor hall, but I definitely would suggest going to the keynotes. And then usually if it's a new person, I suggest that they just read through the workshop descriptions and try to just hit 2 or 3 that they most definitely want to go to, and then maybe try to visit with people and make some friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you try to take in all those workshops. By the time you're done, your brain will be fried and you're stressed out because you're going to miss something anyway, because you can't be at all the workshops at once. So it really, if there's something you want to hear, just pay the $3.50 and maybe even skip some of the workshops and go to the vendor hall when it's a little bit less busy and get a chance to visit with people, because it's pretty hard to beat just talking to somebody that's maybe been there and dealt with some of the issues that you might see that you've got coming up.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised I haven't seen the $70 already go through our account, because I know Sarah's like, all right, they got a deal for the convention.
Yeah.
So we've already been talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you guys have put me, Johnny, on the spot about making the pizza party, considering you're having it like 3 blocks from my house. So
Oh my!
Okay. Well, go
so
to
I
the
don't have an
pizza party.
excuse to miss that. So
Hold his feet to the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh no, and like one of the groups that we're involved with, CC, we were talking to you guys about that earlier. So like I understand when you say you can be overwhelmed, because when we first got access to that bookstore, it's like, oh my God, what books do we need? Like, where do you even start? And in your opinion, oh, she's going to interrupt me. In your opinion, what is the best way to stay motivated to do lessons regularly and not fall in a rut and not want to do it?
Do you want me to answer it, or?
I'm a terrible, because I'll see a question and I'll answer the question that they didn't ask. So, and then I'll let Amber answer the real question. But my advice there is, don't worry if you don't get it all done. Give yourself some grace and freedom to do what needs to be done, and realize that as long as your kids learn to read and write, if they're capable, which most are, but that they'll be able to teach them to learn, and then they'll be able to learn. And you can't teach them everything, and there's no set of requirements, and there's no list of things that everybody is supposed to or needs to know. So they didn't finish the book in public school, you don't have to finish it at homeschool either. But that's not really what you're asking, so I'll let Amber answer that maybe better.
Okay. In my opinion, Sarah, the best way to stay motivated to do lessons regularly and not fall in a rut or not want to do it is almost impossible. There are just going to be certain times where you feel overwhelmed and you feel that you really can't do it today. And those are great days for a field trip. And those are great days to sit down and reevaluate and do a lot of read out louds, and to do maybe your math flashcards and different things like that, because there are going to be some days where life just gets in the way and you cannot get everything done. And I mean, you want to set your kids up for success. You want to show them consistency, and you want to show them motivation. So you do need to do it. And sometimes you just have to push through, even when you're feeling extremely empty. And in my personal opinion, that's when I turn to Christ, and that's when I go to prayer and asking God to help me see this situation differently. And I reevaluate what I'm doing and see if all of that is necessary, especially when I had babies. I don't know what ages your children are, but and find yourself, if you can, a mentor mom who has done this and can help you out. And there are many of them out there. We have a service now through the NDHSA called Portals Academy, where they have mentor moms available. I'm blanking on the price right now for that. It is cheaper for NDHSA members. But anyway, that could be maybe a resource that you could tap into. I hope that answers your question.
You bet.
If not,
is there any other questions from the audience? Let's see if we can get some. I know we got people watching here. If there's any questions from the audience, we sure love to take them.
Well, and I'm checking. Give me half a second here. Make sure we haven't missed anything. 2 comments. No, I mean, like, I think when you go back to the stigma on the weird thing, like, you don't see that anymore. I don't even associate it with it anymore. Because there's just so much weird out there in general, even from adults.
Most homeschooling weird is good weird. I mean, it's not all good weird, but for the most part, when you compare it to the weirdness like you're referencing in the world, it's take it with a grain of salt.
So are there any essential books that you guys recommend if we're going down to the convention hall, or is there any, like, other than the Bible, obviously, any like major programs that you guys recommend that have had really good success across the spectrum?
Do you mean as far as curriculum, Marvin?
Yeah. Like we've gotten sent a ton. Just different curriculums, different ideas, different kind of trains of thought. And molding for our child is always interesting. because we have a wild child. She's a goer. So when I say wild, it's not that she's out of control. It's not that she's, nuts. It's the fact that this child is constantly moving, and she's moving from 9 a.m. to 10:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been that way since she's 2. So like when you get a child like that, like, have you guys seen different programs coming through where it kind of keeps them involved even though they're constantly on the move?
There are quite a few different curriculum options out there. So to answer that question would be very difficult. What I always tell new homeschoolers is that if, husband and wife, if you're together, on this, sit down and visit about what your educational philosophy is. There's a lot of different ideas out there. There's Charlotte Mason, classical. There's a lot of different styles of education. And it's a good idea to do a little bit of research on those and see which one you feel fits your family best. Sorry about the dog. But and see which one fits your family best, and then kind of look at the curriculum options that are listed for, because you cannot, I think Kathy Duffy has some different things like that for learning styles and different types of curriculum for those learning styles. Nancy Bjorkman is a very good resource for that kind of thing at Hefner's Legacy at the convention. Teresa Deckert also is always at her convention and knows quite a bit about that type of thing. And so, I mean, to answer your question, it's very difficult because it should be so tailored to your child. And there are so many different options out there for what you're talking about that it would be very difficult for me to narrow it down to one.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of on this weird blend of different approaches. So
that's good.
I use a lot of kind of like play style stuff. Like this summer we were building a playhouse for her. She set up a shop. So like I was purchasing, we were doing exchange back and forth of the tools that I needed. She sells the most expensive tape measure in North Dakota, folks. So like working on math, that's what we would do. We'd do that barter back and forth where I was providing her, she was giving me cost, I was giving her over what she was supposed to, where she was supposed to give me the change, where we were getting the addition and subtraction. So that's just kind of one of the methods that we've used. Sarah uses like the flashcards, the rotating ones where you have the H and then you have the rest of the letter there. She uses that for reading when it comes to that stuff, where we can constantly kind of flip and keep her hands moving and keep her busy because she seems to do best like that. So I know it's kind of a loaded question, but it just kind of proves that every child is different when it comes to learning.
I think that's another thing that homeschooling can provide. You can teach your children and they can be bouncing on a ball. And I mean, I'm not the type of person that drives me a little crazy, but when dad's teaching, you kind of got to sit still and listen. When mom's teaching, they can stand on their head and like they're not listening, and she'll ask them the question and it's pretty clear they were listening. They just were fidgety. And some of them some of our kids learn a little better when they're fidgeting, and there's some science to that. When their hands are moving and their bodies are moving, their brain is processing better. So yeah.
Awesome.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see more. Like, I think my biggest shock so far in the homeschooling was when we filled out the form where it was asking vaccination status for the children. It's like that kind of baffled me. It's like, and still having to fill out the form, those DPI and the steps that you have to provide. Your completion of high school certificate and stuff like that, just to say yes, I'm going to homeschool my child. So, and I know you guys say that you've been involved with legislation. I know there's been a lot of different proposed bills over the last decade when it comes to homeschooling. We have another session coming up. Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to or possibly working with legislators on to improve the community?
So in North Dakota, for quite some time, probably our most glaring thing in our law is our special needs section. It is what? It is not written. You're trying to tell me to be nice, or what?
Yes.
I'll try to be nice.
Oh, we
But
have free speech.
Yeah, it's not written very well. There's I mean, it functions okay because we have the ability to opt out of testing for really any reason you want. I don't know what the exact
Jeff says hi.
I see that. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
So you can opt out, and we encourage parents to opt out. If you want to test, still by all means go ahead and test for your own peace of mind, for practice for your kids. But we would recommend you not give those tests to DPI. Just why would you? They're your kids, and you know what they're learning. And if you don't want to test, that's fine too.
The reason that has helped in the special needs portion of the law is because we were seeing a lot of issues with children who have Down syndrome or children who have developmental disabilities who are never going to meet that marker of the 30th percentile. They're never going to meet that on a standardized test. And so they were being pulled back into the school system because of the way that law is written. So that is why the opt-out was such a big deal when that was finally passed, because now you can homeschool and not have to test and not worry about your child falling below that 30th percentile if they have a developmental disability and you don't want to be pulled back into the school and you have your own special needs plan. We do have a special needs consultant that came up with some forms for us that are on our website, and it just goes through like your services plan so that you can show that your child is receiving services and they're getting the help that they need, but it doesn't necessarily have to be provided by the school system. Does that make sense?
I just want to add a little bit to that, though. That the problem, I was kind of lost my train of thought, but the problem with it is that parents of kids with special needs don't necessarily have the same rights as kids that have kids that are not below the 30th percentile. They don't have the same freedoms and abilities to homeschool, and there's no reason for it. There's no statistical reason. There's just no rationale that, because when these special needs kids, they're going to perform best with one-on-one instruction and more one-on-one time. And who better to provide that than a loving parent, as opposed to going to school where they have all kinds of kids with special needs and a very limited number of resources to deal with them. I mean, not to say that those people aren't doing a wonderful job, but a parent can do just as well, or if not better at home, just because of the pure amount of time that they have.
Statistically, it is. So, when we did the research, it was shown that it was the time that was put in with special needs kids that really made the difference. And I have some special needs educators in my extended family, and that is one thing that they'll say over and over is, I wish I just had more time. I wish I had more time with that student, and I don't have it. And that's what we do have as parents. We have time to put in, and we can repeat things over and over and over, and work with them as much as they need. So it's kind of a blessing to have a special needs child in homeschool.
So that's probably the main area of our law that
we'd like to work on. That
needs improvement. It needs better clarity, and it's the most discriminatory law in the nation when it comes to kids with special needs.
That's what we were told by HSLDA at one time. I think that's still true.
Yeah, it's outdated.
Well, and even if you look at North Dakota over the last decade, we've seen Health and Human Services kind of fringing on the border of Department of Public Instruction with different bills and lobbying. So I'm sure part of that reflects back to you guys too. But since we got Senator Magrum watching here, Jeff, you know what bill you're working on next session?
Yeah.
Oh, no. And even when it comes to trying to find relief with the homeschooling families, I know there's been a number of different proposals that have gone through legislation, some that you guys have been okay with, some that you haven't been okay with. And I think the biggest thing that everybody kind of sees is we don't want the state involved with our families, so we don't necessarily want to see, stuff like that. Jeff's happy to help.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Jeff has been a good to homeschoolers, and he likes to come to our convention, or at least I think he does. He shows up once in a while anyway. We're glad to see him there. So, but yeah, I think kind of what you're getting at is funding, and we try to educate our members and people that are homeschooling, especially new to it. Our philosophy is with funding comes accountability, and what the government funds, it controls. With the shekels come the shackles. I mean, that type of mentality that if we have parent directed and parent funded education, then that's our responsibility to educate our kids, and we should take that responsibility, the not only time but the financial responsibility as well, and not be looking for somebody else to pay our way. Homeschooling can be done very economically. There's so many ways you can do it for just on a shoestring budget. There's really,
and we talk about that at convention. Yeah. And also just specifically for special needs parents, because I know that you have different challenges than neurotypical kids or parents with kids that are neurotypical is what I'm trying to spit out here. But at the convention, we do have a special needs luncheon where you can visit with our special needs coordinator. We usually have a workshop. You can meet privately with our special needs coordinator and visit with her, and she has much experience in this area. We also have a list on our website of different resources that are homeschool friendly for parents of kids with special needs. And also just reach out to us at the office. Like, we can try to put you in touch with a support group, because I find over and over, I am a special needs parent, by the way. I find over and over that what special needs parents need is community. They need someone to listen to them. They need someone to help them. And we can try to help provide that. We can put you in touch with people who will hopefully be able to provide that for you.
It's probably I don't want to say the biggest expansion. We're just seeing the most growth, and that's one of the biggest needs we're seeing is just more and more parents that have kids that are, whatever the special need may be, and we're just having a lot of challenges there. And I mean, it's an added, definitely a big deal.
But
yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot tonight. To be honest with you, I didn't even know that there was a homeschool association until just a few nights ago when Marvin was talking about having you guys on. So I maybe my wife talked to me about it once. I don't know. I'm not going to admit to that or not.
That's all right. Yeah.
You're not alone, Shilo. A lot of people don't know we exist. I don't know how we can get ourselves out there better, but
yeah, I go to the convention. I tell everybody there, just why aren't more people here? I mean, it's just there's a lot of good speakers. There's no reason not to come, but if you don't know, you can't come, and so that's a struggle we have is getting
you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Now we'll expect to be there.
Like I said, I'm not gonna admit to that.
Well, and like the big thing I think that we run into when we get into groups like this is we really become our own sounding wall. And so whether it's a grassroots movement or it's the homeschool, we get so comfortable with where we're at, we become our own sounding wall. We talk to ourselves, we talk to each other, we talk to other people that have that kind of like-minded philosophy and stuff like that. And so like getting out there, it's hard to get out of your shell sometimes.
Yeah.
So I was actually super excited when you guys had agreed to be on, because I've heard that's kind of a mystery to speak with you guys.
Oh my. I had no idea.
And not you specifically, but just the homeschool associations, because they always feel like they're going to get judged as soon as they come on to do a show like this. And it's
sure.
Like as soon as my wife said she had like gotten you guys confirmed to be on, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun. I go, Shilo, you better come with questions.
Yeah.
We're pleased to be asked, so thank you.
Yeah, anything we can do to help people kind of understand why we're doing and what we're doing and why we're doing it, and maybe help them out as in their schooling, education, and really family discipleship. That's kind of what we're about. So
you bet.
Well, folks, if you want to know more, obviously they have the ndhsa.org. We've had the website going across the scroll on the bottom here. The HTD podcast ND, please go find Thor and Amber's guest book for tonight. I have links for the Homeschoolers Association. We have links for the state convention. We have the mission statement for them. We kind of a nice little, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what we are looking to achieve. So if you want to find more, click the links, get some information. Guys, I have a feeling I'm going to be seeing you on Saturday.
Great.
So
Yep.
we got bowling league in the morning, and I have a feeling we'll be over right after that. So
Okay.
awesome to actually meet you in person.
Well, that would be wonderful.
Great. One last thing I wanted to mention, if you got one last second, is we've got a newsletter that comes out. The Eclectic, or office administrator Liz, does a great job with that. It's colorful, it's pretty, and it's got a lot of great information on it. And you can, I'm sure you can find that on our website.
Yep, it's on our website.
You don't need to be a member. We'll send it to you.
Or it's just online.
Or you can, you can just go read it.
You can just sign up for it. So
you can get it emailed to you monthly, or you can just go read it on our website. So it's a good resource. It's got a lot of good information on there too.
Oh, membership. Can you sign up for membership through the website?
You surely can. It's a tab. It just says membership and donations, I think. So
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, if there's anything that we can do for you guys to help your cause, please reach out to us. You guys got our contact info on that. So anything that we can do to help you guys, please let us know.
Events you got upcoming or anything like that, just let us know.
And that goes for our viewers too. If you want to reach out to us, if you need more information on Thor and Amber and the North Dakota Homeschool Association, please don't be afraid to reach out to us. We can help you get in touch with them as well.
Yep, we're small enough. Yeah, we still answer the phones. So.
Yes, we do.
And there's somebody on the other end, and we got time. We'll listen to you. I might be in a tractor if I answer the phone, but other than that, it's all good. So.
No, that's awesome.
Thank you for your time tonight, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yep,
Yes,
thank you.
You bet. So that's Thor and Amber Sand with the North Dakota Homeschoolers Association. So, wow, that was really good. I really appreciate their time. So, you got any final thoughts for us, Marv?
No, not really. It's going to be a busy next couple weeks.
It is.
It's going to be crazy next couple weeks. We don't have guests booked for next week yet, and kind of leaving that open. We are still waiting to hear back from Campbell, Kelly, Darko, and Kirsten. We do have Jim on with us on the 27th of February, so we got some stuff coming. If you guys are running for office in your districts, your endorsing convention hasn't happened yet, reach out, please. Hit us up. Jim Bartlett. Is that what I said?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm getting scolded. Thanks, guys, for your show. Great guest tonight. You're welcome, Jeff. But if you're running for office, your endorsing convention hasn't happened yet, or you weren't happy with your endorsing convention and you are now running for office, please don't be afraid to get a hold of the show. htd4nd@gmail.com. Reach out. We want to have you on. So
you bet.
That's where I'm at.
Well, and so just so you know, next week I'm going to be down there. Going to be attending the North Dakota Safety Council conference down there all week. So there's probably a good chance that you and I are going to be in one place to do the show.
Well, that's terrifying.
That's terrifying. Yes, Sarah, I'm inviting myself to your house again. I'm just waiting for it. I'm going to hear about that one. Anyway, so, I'll be down there in Bismarck next week. So other than that, I guess final thought for me is this Williston School Board had a meeting last night, and man, I don't even know where to begin with that. From what I could tell, I was in and out. But from what I could tell, it was you can sleep in the garage. Oh, well, at least she'll let me sleep in the garage, I guess.
Anyway,
So, yeah. Anyway, back to the Wilson School Board. It just kind of seemed like a pity party for the school board members, and then obviously Dawn Hollingsworth. We've had her on before. When she got up to try and speak, they wouldn't let her speak. She actually got escorted out of the room by a police officer. I just think that it's people we really need to start getting involved. If you're going to send your kids to public school, you need to start getting involved because what I seen last night, I mean, it was 2 hours of just bull jive. And you can go back and we shared the link from Williston trending topics. He was there live. And so we shared it on our Facebook. You guys can go back and watch it for yourself. But the superintendent, I mean, this guy, what's his name again? Richard Fadley. And he's actually from out east somewhere. And anyway, he didn't have a good showing. He sat in the middle of the school board like he was the president. Well, Corey Junt, who was resigned as the president, sat over in the corner like a scolded dog. I don't know. They say that they're in it for the kids and this and that, but man, their actions sure aren't showing it. They wanted to throw blame around, and it was almost like Mr. Fadley, he was actually kind of in a threatening mood sometimes when he was speaking. And they don't seem to have, I don't want to say this. They just don't seem to have a care about what's going on, like all the stuff in this audit that came out. Like they just pretend like it hasn't even happened, and I don't understand the attitude. So, and then they say that, well, the people of Williston have really spoke. Really, have they? You live in a town of 32,000 people, and you were able to get 1,300 people to vote in your last election. Is that really the people of Williston speaking? Are you kidding me?
well, and here's the thing, Shiloh. Nicole is going to be on with us eventually.
Mhm.
Olenberg, I've already talked with her. Wants to get past the 20th section of Prove Me Wrong.
No,
There's a lot of information there, folks.
there
Like
is.
I said, I mean, it's 1,792 files that they're going through. So if you want to know more, find Nicole on Facebook, watch her videos.
Yep. She's
'Cause
done an outstanding job.
She has. She has. I've had a chance to look at a lot of that information. I did not have the time when it was given to me to present it properly, and she is doing a bang up job on it.
She is.
So, but no, and we see it across the state, Shiloh. And
Mhm.
it's not to attack, but our our elected officials, whether it's school board or city council or county commission, like they're not used to you being involved.
Yep.
They're not used to people showing up.
Mhm.
So keep doing it.
Yep.
Please, for the love of God, keep showing up. Because when you show up, they can't shotgun stuff through without people noticing.
And I encourage you guys to go and watch that video. I mean, go halfway through it. Go to the first. Go. I mean, it's even after they kicked on out, it's like an hour and 32 minutes into it. I mean, they just act like nothing's wrong. Like we're just business as usual. And you guys just need to go and watch it. Don't take my word for it. Go and watch this. It's a
No,
circus.
real quick, correct me if I'm wrong. The superintendent is supposed to be in an advisory position only to a school board.
Yep.
Okay, just making sure.
And I mean, this guy was right in the middle, and Corey Junt, that
The former
way
president.
off, yeah. So it was just, yeah, it was crazy. I don't, Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And I'm
Well,
sorry, his name isn't Corey. His name is Chris.
yeah. Well, it's not
Sorry.
like this is 4 years in the making, Shiloh,
Yeah,
if not longer.
I do
Well, anyway,
apologize. I said his name wrong. It's Chris Junt. It's not Corey
Chris-
Junt.
okay.
So I apologize on that.
Shiloh apologizes to any Corey Junt he just offended.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So, but well, with that, we will. Who do we have on Friday?
District 14. We got the
Yep.
candidates from District 14. I'm excited to talk to Carissa and their team. So that'll be awesome. Yeah.
You bet. Well, all right, folks. We will see you Friday with District 14s. Enjoy your week. Have a blessed week. Thanks for watching, and we will see you Friday.